Hey Husker fans, Evan Bland here with Jimmy Watkins from the Omaha World-Herald and Omaha.com, coming to you on a Tuesday inside Memorial Stadium. Feels like a summer day. It's not. It's late September. Nebraska is about halfway through its season. It's Northwestern week, and one of the topics du jour, as you might imagine, was regarding special teams. And so Mike Dawson, who's the outside linebackers coach, also the special teams coordinator, if you want to call him that. He runs up that side of the ball.
I'm sure he would prefer you didn't, actually.
Not this week. He said this week he's the outside linebackers coach more so than the special teams coach, in jest, of course. But he broke down the punt a little bit. We already knew, as Scott Frost said Monday, that punt from Daniel Cherney wasn't where it was supposed to be. They wanted it left. It went right. Dawson followed that up a little bit today by saying he was real honest with his guys in special teams and said one thing that the players maybe appreciate about him is that he's going to tell the truth. And he was brutally honest about all the mistakes that went into that play where Michigan State was able to go ahead. Obviously, the kick was a big part of that. But beyond that, he said that Nebraska made one mistake into two mistakes because a lot of the coverage unit wasn't aware of where the ball was. So they did expect it to go to the right. It didn't, but a lot of guys weren't aware of that. And so that was another big part of some of the corrections that they were making there. Jimmy, you were talking with Sean Beckton a little bit too. Maybe more the concern with him was on the return side of Nebraska's kickoffs and punts.
Yeah, those special teams, they sure are special. Beckton was talking about the return game, specifically the punt return game. Scott Frost said after Saturday's game that he thought Nebraska left about 200 to 300 yards of hidden yardage out there just by letting kicks roll or not fielding them. Part of the reason for that, Samori Toure has told us he's not a very experienced punt returner. He's done some in high school, never done it at the college level with Montana. Now here he is, Division I punt returner. Beckton said that one of the first kicks that Toure let bounce was one that went over his head, which kind of spooked him. Then they moved him back a little bit, and he had to run forward. He wasn't super comfortable doing that, and that's how you lose a bunch of yards when you let the ball bounce like that. So basically what's been happening is Beckton has been rotating in a bunch of guys in practice. Still Toure is the main guy right now. They've been moving him back deeper in practice to get him used to coming up to catch balls, but they're also rotating in guys like Kamani Grimes, the freshman, who Beckton likes, but says is not quite mature enough for that role yet. Will Nixon is a guy that Beckton likes enough to say that if he was on the travel roster last week, Whit Nixon that is, that he might have gotten rotated in there in the punt return game, but he wasn't. So maybe that is something that we could watch out for later on in the season. Also, Beckton is also just hoping that Oliver Martin, who started the season at that spot, gets healthy very soon. He mentioned that 2 or 3 times during his, I think he talked for 16 minutes. Beckton also talked about the tight ends. Thomas Fidone suffered an injury before the season. They think he'll be back. They don't want to burn his year of eligibility, so they're thinking that he'll play 4 games or fewer this year. Beckton also praised Chancellor Brewington for the block he threw on the second of Adrian Martinez's 2 rushing touchdowns against Michigan State. Brewington came off and blocked down to seal the edge on the Martinez touchdown run. Brewington, from day one, he wasn't always the tight end, but he always had, from the first day he was in the tight end room, Beckton said he's always had a notebook in his hand. He takes copious notes. He pays close attention to what they're trying to teach him, and they think he's got a bright future here.
A couple other just quick notes from the coordinators, Matt Lubick, the offensive side, and Eric Chenander on the defensive side. Chenander said Northwestern's a team that likes to run. They're going to run the ball a lot. A little bit of a different style than what Michigan State presents, in that there's going to be a lot of pre-snap motion, and Nebraska's going to really need to be home with its eye discipline, staying gap sound. And Chenander believes that if they do that, and the Blackshirts have done that pretty consistently to this point, that they'd be in good shape against Northwestern. And then the other thing that I think's been interesting to follow, and Matt Lubick alluded to it a little bit today too, was the shift from this sort of up-tempo offense that Nebraska has been traditionally under Scott Frost to slowing things down a little bit more. And Nebraska did that against Oklahoma. They did that against Michigan State. And it looks like that's the way they're trending now this way too, where they want some longer possessions. They want to limit the possessions that opponents get. And that's helped in part with how the defense has performed there as well. So we'll be back Thursday with Scott Frost, have coverage throughout the week. Thanks for following along with us, and it should be pretty fun with a couple home night games at Memorial Stadium coming up. Thanks a lot.